Present.
Present Counsel Hogan.
Present.
Present Counsel Field.
Present.
Present Counsel Lozey absent. Counsel Net.
Present.
Present. Okay, we have renewals, if you'd like to take them as a whole.
So moved. A motion to approve.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That it?
That is it.
Motion to
Last
new business.
meeting
Adjourn.
of the
Motion to
year.
adjourn, second?
Second.
You guys love it.
I second.
Come on, second. Got it.
To order, roll call, please.
Counsel Staben.
Present.
Present Counsel LaPierre, absent. Counsel Calucci, absent. Counsel Walsh.
Present.
Present Counsel Field.
Present.
Present.
Okay, two items on the agenda. The first is the bid on the sale of property at 21 Michigan Ave. Attorney Lamont.
Correct. The bids were due this past Friday at 11:30 for both of these properties. We received multiple bids on both Michigan and Myrtle, and it was a determination from the law department and the purchasing agent that none of the bids were responsive. Either they didn't fill out the bids completely, they were not. Page 6 of the RFP says that any bid must be in a sealed envelope. My understanding that some bids were not in a sealed envelope. The purchasing agent can speak a little bit more in depth. The questions where they asked bidders their prior experience in construction, where the council would have a sense that they could undertake this, rather than giving prior examples, they simply gave references. A fairly simple process. If you've constructed other properties, let us know what they are. There's a request for your financial abilities, whether it's a lender from the bank saying that they committed to X amount of dollars. But reviewing the package, but just none of the applicants were able to follow the RFP, and its recommendation that all be rejected and this be rebid, and whether the bid should be an extensive discussion with the purchasing agent, whether the owner-occupied component should be removed, whether we don't ask for their prior work experience. I don't know if the law department necessarily recommends that, because we've had a situation on Paris Street where someone bought property from the city, sat on it for about 10, 12 years.
Well, I can understand that part. They haven't, so that we don't have people that watch a couple episodes of Fitness House and think they're gonna be able to get into this business and find themselves in over their heads. But I myself was confused by this. Even the process, and it's a little different than it was done the last time we had sold the last couple of properties. But especially the Michigan Ave one, it's just a vacant house sitting there that the longer it sits, the more, the worse it gets. So the recommendation from the law department is to reject all the bids on both of these properties.
And rebid either identical or rebid with some changes for their financials and prior experience should be in there. There was a component that the pre-bid conference, respective bidders stated financing would be difficult with an owner-occupied requirement. There was obviously a reason why this council wanted owner-occupied, in the sense that they typically take care of the property a little better than absentee. That was the one complaint at the pre-bid conference about the way this bid was structured, that several bidders said that they might not be able to bid because of that requirement. Whether that being eliminated is worth possible headaches with an absentee landlord, really defer to this council on what they feel should not be moved or not included moving forward.
So we reject these tonight. We got to go back to the drawing board. Do we have to wait for our next meeting to be able to vote on sending out a new RFP?
Not at all. If you feel comfortable to be able to make a decision tonight, whether to just reissue it with the hopes that everyone will now follow this RFP. There were bidders that I know have extensive experience in construction, and why they didn't include their backup history on new construction and rehab, I don't know. Why? I would imagine we rebid this, and people will correct the errors, and we would get bids, whether the corrections would result in more bids. The only complaint I heard during the process, as I said, was the owner-occupied component.
Okay, so I mean, we did attract bids, and for the sake of of expediency, I would hate to have to schedule a meeting in January, mid-January, to kick RFPs back out, to start soliciting bids again, and that if we just kick these out, we should be able to come up with dates right here, right now.
There's a 30-day advertising requirement. It needs to go in the central register, and I think the due date is tomorrow at 4 or Thursday.
Tomorrow for the following Wednesday? Yeah, for the following Wednesday.
If this board voted for that, we could get it in the central register for a week's time.
Okay, so I guess what we're probably gonna have to do is take two votes. One, to follow the recommendation of the law department, reject the bids on both properties.
Make a motion.
Mr. Chairperson, before you take that vote, could I have a chance to speak?
Sure.
My name is Peggy Phelps, I'm representing Neighborhood Development Associates. And, I mean, I'm looking through my proposal, and in each proposal, I have over 10 pages of experience. I have financials, the audited financials. I also have a letter from Salem 5. I also have a letter from the Lynn Housing Authority for the Home Funds or Community Development Block Grants. I followed this RFP to the letter. I've even highlighted the part that it says 9 copies of the construction schedule with the accompanying bid. That was in my
I can tell you,
sealed
it was
envelope.
one main component. It wasn't even in an envelope. It had to be in a sealed envelope.
It doesn't say that in
Page
here.
Yes, it
Page
does.
6 does.
Yes, it does.
Where is
Page 6 of the RFP.
Right, it says 9 copies of the construction schedule with the company's financial commitment, which is the check, shall be in a sealed envelope clearly marked RFP 03-325-21 Michigan Ave. That's exactly what I did.
Well, there's obviously a problem with the way it was written. There's some confusing language, so that's another reason why we want to reject and put it back out.
But I
There's also
understand
on Myrtle Street, there was an addendum, and in reviewing it, you didn't acknowledge the addendum.
Yes, I did. I most certainly did.
Inside this,
It's in my proposal. And it was
Again,
all
it
clearly
should be
tabbed
sealed.
out. It was all clearly tabbed out.
it's supposed to be acknowledged on the price form, which was in here, and not acknowledged.
But it doesn't say that in here. It's not clearly
It
defined.
says it right on the proposal form, the price form.
But
We had 3 other people submit bids, and they all acknowledged it on the price form.
This process is different than what this committee experienced in the last go-round. I really thought that we were going to be opening bids here tonight, and that's the way it was presented on the agenda. And that's pretty much how we did it on the last 2. So this, was news to me. And I know that Lynn Housing has submitted bids in the past. In fact, they were the winning bidder on one of the properties that we did last year. So, I mean, Peggy, as a committee, we need to follow the recommendations of the law department. I can understand your frustration.
And that's fine, if, that's fine.
So, is it going to be clarified, we can send this out to rebid, but obviously there's some discrepancies within some of the language here, am I wrong? Is that going to be addressed before we send this back out to bids?
So what was different this time around versus last time? When we did Grant Street and Saunders Road, what was different with that than this?
The council opened up the bid packages, and the purchasing agent who was hired to oversee 30B, real estate and goods and services, was not directly involved. Given that is his statutory duty, is to make sure that the bids are submitted properly, there is a deposit. The addendum is acknowledged that you follow all the instructions, and that part was not there. But 30B is right up to the purchasing agent. That is what he's hired to ensure it's followed to a T, so there are no bid protests. And here with multiple bids, a losing bid could protest the bid that's not in compliance with the bid documents. That would be the concern, that the bid would be thrown out, challenge at the state level.
Okay. I mean, to be honest, I, as the chair of the committee, would have liked to have been there at the opening, and I'm not sure if other members of the committee would have wanted to be there as well. But, you know, I was under the understanding this was going to take place tonight. If it happens on another date, I'm fine with that, as long as I have prior knowledge of that.
In the past, it's been done in conjunction with council and ISD, speaking with the purchasing agent and Mike Donovan with the ISD department. Where is it the appropriate place to go, given that the purchasing agent is the body of the city hall that is in charge of the bidding laws, that it was determined that made sense moving forward, that everything go through the purchasing agent. And a lot of things that ISD bids in the past were run by ISD and now been moved down to purchasing with the recognition that this is what the purchasing agent in the Commonwealth is for, ensure compliance with 30B, 149, public construction contracts.
And we're going to have more coming up in 2020 undoubtedly, and so I'd like those processes to be clear to the members of this committee and to all those that submit bids.
I think moving forward, it should rest in the purchasing department. I apologize for the lack of communication that let you know last Friday was the day to be opened. Typically, these committee meetings last 15 to 20 minutes. I can assure you that the purchasing agent can tell you she spent a lot more than 15 to 20 minutes going through each of these bids to make sure that they followed it. So the process, and when it gets here, we can have some level of confidence that you're evaluating bids that can be evaluated. And that was the thought process. And I can say, even as an attorney, I don't know the checklist of what Mr. Leonard was looking at. Did they do the addendum? Is it sealed? Is the $10,000 bond here? Did they respond to each of the 5 or 6 questions that we have in each of the property? And a failure on any of those can were deemed significant and material enough to warrant rejection.
Okay, I mean, as far as timeliness, you know, how long the committee meeting runs, I mean, this is a lot of money, and, you know, if it needs to be a half hour, if it needs to be 45 minutes, if it needs to be an hour, then so be it. We don't meet every meeting, but this is a lot of money, and it's important. It's an important topic, and so we will schedule a meeting for however long it takes.
And I would just recommend that the purchasing agent be here to be part of that determination. If it's on a Tuesday night or a Friday, that the purchasing agent who goes to training on all changes in public bidding laws. If any of these things or any bid comes in lower than the assessed value, we have to go to the central register and explain why we accepted a price below the assessed value. And these are all issues that the purchasing agent handles on a day-to-day basis, not just with real property, but on all disposition of real property goods, to make sure that we're full compliance. I don't necessarily know that in the past the sale below assessed value has always been reported to the central register, but that would also be grounds, if not done, to overturn a bid. So there's a lot of intricacies that the purchasing agent, this is what he's trained and been hired to do, that needs to be part of that process, whether it's open on a council night or here on a committee night for an extended period of time.
Just a second question. So when the bids come in for these properties, it's not based upon the highest bidder, correct? This body still has the
This body has, the way these bids have been written, that this gives you leeway if you feel that the highest bid does not have the financial capabilities to undertake this in a timely manner, or doesn't have the experience to undertake either a new construction with Myrtle or a rehab with Michigan, a significant rehab in Michigan, that this body is not locked in, say, 160, I think one of the bids may have approached that figure, not locked into that. There are other factors that are built into this bid.
Do we have a say on it? That's
Absolutely.
something to come back to this committee, whether they're open to the purchasing agent or
Oh, absolutely. They can all be opened right here, but there is a process to log them in, the times that they're open, who's present in the room. For all these, if it goes to a state for a challenge, this backup documentation has to be presented to the state, who was present in the room when the bids were open, whether everything that was required to be in the bid was there and signed off. And that certainly can be done at this committee meeting.
So, I mean, there's a lot of Myrtle Streets in my area. I mean, it's something that's been sitting in the front for years, and I know that probably, you know, needs to be addressed at something like this, some trash issues and stuff. I'm sure the house in Michigan has issues.
That's been a disaster for years.
So it's something
And we've got somebody currently trying to fix the chimney on it because the bricks are falling out. So, you know, the city certainly doesn't want to be on the hook for constant maintenance of that property. So I guess the motion's been made. Yes.
How many proposals for the two properties were proposed?
There was 4 for Myrtle Street and 3 for Michigan.
And all 7 were rejected because of discrepancies?
One that submitted for both properties didn't even put a price page in. He put restrictions on if you want to do it this way.
So that's 205. And what was the problem with the other 5?
They just didn't address, most of it, not the NDA one, but the other ones either didn't submit enough material for the evaluation committee to review and make those decisions. Is the best price, the highest price, the best one, in the best interest of the city, or is it a lower one that we know can get financed? There wasn't enough information in there.
And that was
from what we saw from meeting with Jim this morning and reviewing myself, that there wasn't enough information for the highest bidder didn't give anything to evaluate.
And how many was that? How many of those proposals was that? Was that the case for?
3 of them.
Okay, so at 5, so 5 were,
Well, 4 for one property and 3 for
right,
another.
but
So
so,
3 of
so
Michigan.
5 of the 7
Mhm.
were for information for making the decision.
Not even, yeah.
2 proposals, the remaining 2 were for procedural purposes, meaning they were in sealed envelopes, not because of lack of information.
And it could have
correct?
been confusing with the language, but either way, in the best
But
case.
but on those 2,
enough to throw.
enough information was provided to make a decision, it was just procedural.
Yes.
Okay, so it shouldn't take too long, then, in my opinion, to correct the procedural problem, to go forward.
Right, but we need to reject these and kick them back out again and pick some dates. I guess that's all we need to do is pick the dates that we want them in and when we're gonna open them. But the first thing we need to do is reject these bids. Councilor Walsh made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
So, motion been made and seconded to reject these bids. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel, absent, Counsel Calucci, absent, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the next thing we need to do is set some dates so we don't need to reconvene another meeting next month to vote on kicking the RFPs out. So, Attorney Lamanna, if we vote tonight to send the RFPs back out and advertise it, what are we looking at for a timescale?
Be in the Central Register December 26th. The 30 days would allow you to have the bids due by 4 o'clock on the 28th, assuming that that's the second, it is the fourth Tuesday of the month. The bids could be opened up right here in 402 on January 28th. Or to give yourself a little bit more breathing room, the next date would be looking at February 11th. But it would be 30 days advertising on the 26th of December with a due date 4 o'clock, the 28th of January.
Okay.
So make a motion to rebid the 2 properties for those dates.
Okay, with the due date and opening being by 4 o'clock on January 28th?
Yes.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Just so you understand, they have to be opened immediately at that time. So if the meeting's at 4, that's fine. We can't hold them until 7:30. We'd have to open them at
Okay.
You can move that back to 7, or whatever time public
So if
property.
you want to make it 7, we can make it 7.
If you make it
No,
seven,
this is
you're
gonna
gonna
be
have
time
time.
consuming. We're probably gonna need an early meeting.
If they make it 7, you have time to open the bids and confirm that everything is correct.
If we're going to do it at the meeting, we'll have to review them at the meeting. Usually what we do is we take them in, we open them, it's public information immediately. But then then we would go through the minimum requirements, make sure they meet the minimum requirements, and then the bids or the proposals will be further evaluated by the committee if they met the minimum requirements, that the required forms are there and everything And once that's all there and we have all the copies and everything's received right, then the evaluation committee would then take the evaluation criteria that Mr. Lamana presented in the original proposal, and they have to evaluate it on those criteria.
Do you want to do that on off-council night? So you have
Well, it's either that or do an early meeting on the 28th.
February 4th.
It would be February 4th. Does that work for you guys to come in on an off night?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we gonna do?
hopefully you'd have the whole night just.
So February 4th. Want to do 6?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
But then on January 28th, they would be open at 4 p.m.?
No,
No.
January 28th is gone.
Oh,
It's
okay.
now February 4th.
At 6
By
p.m.
p.m.
Okay. So, but still the same date for advertising, right? 26th?
Yeah, with Christmas being on the 25th, I'm sure it's pushed out, like you said, to the 26th. But I'll know tomorrow when I go in to set up the ad, and it'll say it'll either be the 26th or it could be the 24th.
Okay.
That'd be also advertised twice in the item.
Yeah, we can take.
Councilor Walsh, would you like to amend your motion?
With the motion, so we send it out for, according to the 26th of December, and then it'll be open February 4th, 6 p.m.
Okay, second. Motion's made, second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Council Starbird?
Yes.
Yes. Council LaPierre absent, Council Pucci absent, Council Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Council Field?
Yes.
Yes.
There's no other business. Motion adjourned, second. All in favor? Thank you.